Hello, what's up YouTube? Photographer Ronix with an actually in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you basically how I do color grading in Capture. So those people that always ask me about the software I use to color grade most of the time, I use Capture to do the color grading, and Capture is a raw processing software that is going to help you really color grade your images better. So this is not a sponsored video, so let me show you how I basically do the color grading within Capture. So in Capture One, you can see that this is my layout, and you may be having a way different layout. But what you have to take into consideration is you have to make sure that you have every single adjustment, and this is what basically matters. So if at all you're missing any adjustment in your Capture One, you can come right here and simply right click, and you come to add tool and add whichever adjustment option you're lacking within the Capture One interface. So after noticing or handling that, this is the image that we're going to be working on. So what I tend to do in Capture One, you can see that we have layers like we have in Photoshop. So what I tend to do, I just come to the highlight and simply drop that down, because usually when I'm shooting outdoor images, the highlights tend to get a little bit blown out. So I want to get rid of the blown out highlights. And I also come and do the same. But as I'm doing all these adjustments, so I do the same for my white. So as I'm doing the adjustments, I do them on the background layer itself. So after this, I just come and drop down the exposure, because I felt like the image was a little bit overexposed. Then after that, I open up the shadows to get back information within the darkest areas. Then after doing that, I just come to my levels down here, and I simply add contrast within the image. Just a tiny bit of contrast can do for such an image. So after doing this, the next thing is going to be color grading. So before I do color grading, I make sure I do the color grading on a separate layer, because I want it to be non-destructive in nature. So basically, I come to this plus icon. So what I tend to do, I don't just simply left click on it. No, I simply right click. So you don't left click, because when you left click, it's going to create any random layer, and that is going to either be filled or an open layer. So I'm just going to simply delete this adjustment layer, because I don't want to use such a layer. So basically what I do, I right click on the plus icon, and I come and I select a new field adjustment layer. By new field adjustment layer, basically I mean when I press M on the keyboard, you can see that the color grading is going to be affecting the image on a global basis. So if at all I press M once again, it is going to deactivate the mask. So whichever color grading that I'm going to be doing on the image is going to be affecting the overall photo in this case. So with this done, first of all, I want to handle the skin tones of the model, because what I want the skin to look a little bit more even. And you can see that we have skin tone color inconsistencies. You can see that we have some yellows right here, and we have more of the magentas right here. So I'm just going to be choosing a skin color that is going to be the color that is going to affect the overall or majority of the skin tone. So with this new field adjustment layer created, I can double click, rename it to skin tones. So after that, I'm just going to scroll down, and you can see that we have our color editor option, and you can see that we have basic, advanced, and skin tone. So I'm just going to dive straight to skin tone, and you can see I have a color picker tool. So as soon as I left click on the color picker tool, it is going to open up or select the eyedropper tool and make it orange in color. So after doing this, I'm just going to zoom into the skin area. So you zoom in by pressing Ctrl or Command plus on the keyboard to zoom in. And to hover around a given area, hold down the space bar and left click, and it is going to enable you move around the image. So zooming in is Ctrl or Command plus on the keyboard. So you have to look for the skin tone that you want the rest of the image to represent. So for this case, I'm just going to look for any random skin or skin tone. So for this case, I'm just going to choose or select this area right here. And as soon as I left click on this skin, you can see it samples from me the colors within or that fall within the sampled area. You can see that we have yellows, reds, magentas, and oranges. So in order to see the sampled skin or the sampled color quite well, you can scroll down here and you can see we have the option that says view selected color range, and as soon as you left click on it, it is going to automatically desaturate the colors that fall or that don't fall within the selected color range. So you can see that the greens have just been deactivated because they don't fall within the area that we chose within the skin area of the model. So by turning that off, you can now come to the option that says uniformity. Remember, we are still in skin tone, so just come to uniformity right here, and under uniformity, I'm just going to zoom in slightly. So under uniformity, you can see that we have the option that says hue, and this is the most important option when it comes to evening out or creating an even skin tone for your subjects. So just come to the hue option and simply start taking it up, and as soon as you start taking that up, you're going to notice that the rest of the skin is going to start appearing like the sampled area that we chose in this point. So I'm just going to start taking that up to when I feel like the skin is looking a little bit better for my liking. And I'm also going to come and take up the saturation because these two work hand in hand. So you have to move these sliders up the point when you feel like the skin is looking better to you or to your liking. So right now we have a big issue. You can see that it has also affected the background areas within the image, and it has also changed or altered the color of the shot. So if at all you don't want this to happen to you, you can simply come. Remember, we still have these white hotspots within the image. So basically what I tend to do, I just come back to, with the skin tone layer selected, I come back to the high dynamic range option, and I simply take down the highlights, and I do the same for my whites. But remember, this is a new field adjustment layer, meaning it is affecting the overall image in this case. So if at all I press M, you can see the color grading is going to be affecting the image on a global basis. So by this, I'm just going to press M on the keyboard to deactivate the mask. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come and get the, you can either get the eraser tool or the brush tool. So by eraser, I mean you can just get the eraser tool and you rub away the color grading from the greens or from the shot itself, or you can alternatively right click on this layer mask and simply clear the color grading from affecting the overall image. And with this, simply come and get the brush. Remember, if at all I press M, you can see that we have cleared the color grading from affecting the overall image when we right clicked right here and selected clear mask. So with this done, just come and simply get the brush tool, and the brush is going to instead be painting back the color grading onto a skin area. So you always have to press M on the keyboard to see where you're painting. So always press M, and with the mask turned on, you can now come and paint on to the skin area, because in this case we didn't want to affect maybe the makeup or even the background areas of the image, because when we did it before, it was also affecting the background or the greens within the background. So just get the brush tool, and with that you can just mask back the color grading on only the skin area by painting back the mask in the skin or the areas that have skin within the image. So I'm just going to be doing this, and I mask around onto the skin area, and you can see the mask is red in color. So every area that you paint in is going to be having this red color. So I'm just going to be doing this onto the areas that have skin. And if at all you accidentally paint away from the areas that you don't want color grade, you can simply get the eraser tool, and you can reduce on the size by using the bracket keys on the keyboard. So just get the eraser tool, and you can simply rub away or erase the color grading from the areas that you don't want to be affected in this case. And you can simply press M on the keyboard to hide or deactivate your mask. So right now we are done color grading the skin, and let me show you a quick before and after for just the skin area. So this is the image before after. Just look at how nice and beautiful the skin has turned out to be. So if at all you have makeup, I'm just going to deactivate this. So if at all you have makeup on the image and you don't want it to change, you can just get the eraser tool and simply erase the color grading from the lips or even the eyeshadow if at all your subject had makeup. So right now we are done evening out the skin color of this model, and the next thing is going to be the greens in the background. So basically what I tend to do, I do the skin tone color grading on its own layer. Then I'm also going to come, or I simply come and right click and create another new field adjustment layer, and this layer is only going to be affecting the background. So I can rename this to background. So and simply hit OK. So after that, I'm just going to come down here and come back to my color editor and simply come to the basic adjustment. So I'll simply select the greens or the green color, and I'm just going to hue the greens a little bit towards that side, and also do the same for my yellows, just a little bit, and come back to the greens and simply take out the saturation so that the model can really stand out. And I'll just take down the lightness for the greens, and I'll also take down the lightness for my yellows so that the background can be a little bit dark and my subject can really stand out even more. So after I've done that, I simply export the image to Photoshop and I do the final adjustments. So in order to export the image to Photoshop to do skin retouching and other adjustments, simply come to the image, and when you feel like it is okay for your liking, so before masking everything around and you have a couple of images, just copy everything before you clear your masks and make sure you paint the color grading on the rest of the images so that you can mask each and every image at a time. So after doing everything, just come and export the image to Photoshop. So just come to image and come to edit with and come to Photoshop 2020. That's the version I tend to use. And you can just export it as a 16-bit image. Uncompress, I prefer a TIFF file, and simply come to edit variants and I'll take the image to Photoshop to do the skin retouching. So basically this is what I do when I'm doing the color grading for images in Capture One. And if at all you have this video, don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe this channel. If at all you have been watching and you're not subscribed yet to this channel, Ronix from Ronix Photography, thank you for watching. I'll see you in yet more amazing tutorials, and don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.